Spying around an auction. The 8th of November 2022. Classified location, Southern France. To MI6 Officer Scott Brody, there were exactly 3 things that classed a party as too posh, snobby, or silly for his liking, and with him being British, he only knew all too well how stupid some English parties could be. For a party to be too much for Scott, it had to involve miniature food, formal suits, and a live classical band that played such classical music that not even operas would dare to play it. This event had all those 3 things perfectly. Scott leant against the dark brown oak railing on the upper level of a great chamber inside a very wonderful castle in the south of France. The floor Scott was standing on was a massive circle that didn't jet off into any rooms or serve any practical function. It was just an upper floor to allow guests to look down on the guests below them. That was another definition of poshness, or even pompousness, to Scott. He really enjoyed the amazingly soft red carpet under his feet that was bouncy to walk on, the bright white walls with classical French paintings done by artists he had never heard of was pretty to look at, and even French waiters walking round with champagne's flutes were very hot. But Scott couldn't really focus on any of that, and he seriously wanted to focus on the hot French waiters because the French definitely knew how to produce gorgeous men. Instead, Scott had to focus down on the floor below him. To call it was a floor was a massive understatement because the chamber, that was probably a better word, was an immense red-carpeted dance floor where tons of hot French, Spanish, and Chilean men were dancing with their wives as they both groped each other in their dresses and suits. There was one particular Spanish man in the middle of the dance floor, gently dancing with his wife, wearing a particularly lovely dark blue suit that Scott really wouldn't have minded dancing with. He was so gorgeous. Scott forced himself to look away as the classical band playing from their raised platform on the far side of the chamber got a little louder as they finished up their latest song. Everyone clapped, and the band immediately started into another song that Scott hadn't heard of before. The entire castle smelt amazing with hints of freshly roasted pork, frogs that really did taste like chicken, and freshly poured champagne. It was a symphony of pleasure for the senses, and Scott just knew he was going to enjoy this mission. When MI6 had first asked him to come to southern France, he had to admit he was a little unsure because as much as he honestly loved the French and their men, he wasn't sure if he was comfortable running an op on French soil. He normally worked in Eastern Europe, working against the Russians, Polish, and criminal gangs. Working so close to home was new for him. As Scott focused on all the men and women walking about him on the upper floor.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?